No reason for anyone from a township to go to a mayor's conference. A mayor's conference is a mayor's conference for mayors.
I was saying, no, he's not employed by us. So you have got just this gyration.
Let's get right into it, because this is a wild one. Have you ever seen a mayor who acts more like a reality TV star than a public official? Well, Dolton, Illinois sure has. And let's just say, if you thought small town politics were boring, you've obviously never heard of Tiffany Henyard. This whole saga is like a soap opera, with a little bit of everything. Power struggles, lavish spending, lawsuits, and even accusations of corruption. So buckle up, because today we're diving deep into the drama surrounding the so-called super mayor Tiffany Henyard and her ongoing battle with the Board of Trustees.
Is there a motion to terminate Keith Freeman?
Picture this, Henyard, the mayor of Dolton, a small Chicago suburb with about 20,000 residents, is once again at the center of big drama in this tight-knit town. At a recent board meeting, she's making waves and not the good kind. The main issue, the budget. And if you thought passing a budget was simple and straightforward, think again. Henyard walks into the meeting with her usual confidence, some might say arrogance, and tries to bulldoze her way through the process. She's convinced the budget needs to be passed immediately. We're talking like right now. And she's not in the mood for any delays. But here's the thing, the trustees, yeah, they're not having it. They want a proper finance meeting with the residents to review everything before approving the budget. Seems reasonable, right? Apparently not to Henyard.
The legal appointment, that's what the trustees I talked to are calling this. They say the news took them by surprise, and now they're talking to legal counsel to figure out their next steps.
Now, let's set the scene. Henyard comes out swinging, in her usual fashion, trying to put pressure on the trustees to pass the budget without any further reviews. She's stern, she's assertive, and she's practically demanding that they just approve it already. She even claims that she's done everything the trustees asked her to do. According to her, she's made all the necessary adjustments, held discussions with the board, and now it's time to move forward. But the trustees, they're not convinced. They're confused. They're frustrated, and honestly, they're probably a little fed up. Take trustee Tammy Brown, for example. She's sitting there listening to Henyard go on, and you can just see the skepticism all over her face. Brown, like the other trustees, wants transparency. She wants to make sure the residents of Dolton, the very people who are affected by this budget, have a chance to weigh in. But Henyard, in classic Henyard style, dismisses their concerns and keeps pushing forward. She's adamant that they need to pass the budget now, and she's not interested in waiting any longer.
Coming in, unfortunately, we knew it was going to be a little messy, but it's just something we felt important that had to be done, that should be done. But like I said, just some accountability.
Here's where things get interesting. As Henyard keeps talking, the trustees start pushing back. Trustee Jason House, for one, isn't buying Henyard's story that everything is ready to go. He questions why there hasn't been a finance meeting, yet a key step in the process. And then there's Trustee Brittany Norwood, who straight up calls Henyard out for her lack of transparency. She's like, how about you be a good leader and bring proposals to the forefront so not just us, but residents and everyone else in America know how the money is being spent. Ouch. But Henyard doesn't back down. Oh no, she digs in even deeper, and things start to get heated. At one point, she's literally lecturing the trustees, saying, you all forget I'm the leader. They want to hear from the mayor. You all ain't learned that yet. It's honestly wild. She's not just trying to get a budget passed, she's trying to assert her dominance over the entire board. And the trustees? They're clearly getting more and more frustrated by the minute.
Who would make a one-day purchase of over $40,000 to Amazon? And the main thing is, what is it?
Now, here's the thing about Henyard, she's not just the mayor of Dolton. She also holds another position as the supervisor of Thornton Township, which has led to a whole host of issues on its own. But we'll get to that later. For now, let's focus on this budget meeting, because this is where you can really see the cracks in Henyard's leadership style. As the meeting drags on, Henyard keeps pushing, but the trustees keep resisting. And it's not just about the budget anymore. It's about control. Henyard is trying to steamroll the board into doing what she wants, but the trustees are standing their ground. They're demanding transparency, accountability, and a proper review process. And honestly, they're not wrong. They want to make sure the residents know exactly how their money is being spent, and they're not about to let Henyard rush them into a decision.
But it saddens my heart that you are up here at this special meeting and not downstairs where we have big bingo.
At one point, Trustee Brown even calls for a finance committee meeting with the residents to review the budget before they approve it. Seems like a reasonable request, right? But Henyard's not having it. She's all about getting that budget passed as soon as possible, and she's not interested in any more delays. The tension in the room is palpable. You can just feel the frustration from both sides, and it's clear that this isn't going to be resolved anytime soon. And this isn't just a one-time thing either. This power struggle between Henyard and the trustees has been going on for years. From the moment she took office, Henyard has been clashing with the board over everything from spending to governance, and it's only gotten worse over time.
One way that the government always does it is to go and investigate people around her, and that's what they're doing here.
Let's fast forward a bit. As the months go by, the situation in Dolton continues to deteriorate. Henyard's leadership style becomes more and more controversial, and the trustees grow increasingly frustrated with her. There are multiple lawsuits filed against her, accusing her of all kinds of things from forging checks to withholding financial records. And then there's the spending. Oh, the spending!
I do not handle anything as relates to with credit cards. As you heard me speak today in my board meeting about, I do not handle that.
Some of those charges are for you, though.
No, sir.
According to reports, Henyard has been using taxpayer money to fund some pretty extravagant purchases. We're talking first-class flights, luxury hotels, expensive dinners, and even billboards with her face plastered all over town. One report revealed that Henyard and her team spent more than $67,000 on trips to places like Portland, Austin, Atlanta, and New York City. And in Atlanta, they stayed at the Four Seasons Hotel, racking up a bill of over $9,000. In New York, they stayed at the Marriott Marquis in Times Square, where they spent more than $13,000. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
So that's one of the reasons I vote no when we go through our board packets. It's like, some of this stuff, it's like you don't know exactly what it's for, and then when you ask a question, there's no answer.
There's also the issue of Henyard's personal security detail. According to reports, Henyard has been using village police officers as her own personal bodyguards, even assigning them to pick up her daughter from school and go shopping with her. And the cost? Over $1 million in overtime paid for the officers. That's money that could have been used for, actual public safety. But instead, it's being spent on Henyard's personal protection. And let's not forget about the credit card purchases. Lori Lightfoot, who was hired as a special investigator to look into Dolton's finances, revealed that Henyard had been using village credit cards to make purchases at places like Amazon, Target, Walgreens, and Wayfair. One particularly jaw-dropping purchase. Henyard reportedly spent $43,000 on Amazon in a single day. Yes, you heard that right, $43,000 on Amazon. That's more than most people make in a year.
Mayor Henyard fired her chief of police late last year without any approval from the village board. So now Robert Collins has filed a lawsuit against the village.
It's honestly mind-boggling. And the residents of Dolton, they're fed up. Some of them have even started calling Henyard the Dolton dictator, accusing her of using her power to retaliate against anyone who doesn't agree with her. Lawrence Gardner, a local business owner, claimed that Henyard shut down his trucking business because he refused to renew a $3,500 contribution to her political campaign. Gardner said, "What is she, Nino Brown?" A reference to the substance kingpin from the 1991 movie New Jack City. And honestly, it's not hard to see why people are making that comparison. Henyard's leadership style is more reminiscent of a mob boss than a mayor.
Does all this point the finger to Tiffany or allow me? I'm over it. Now it's time for me.
So what's next for Dolton? It's hard to say. Henyard's still in power for now. But with the FBI investigating her spending, with multiple lawsuits piling up, and with the trustees fighting her every step of the way, it's clear that this saga is far from over. And honestly, it's only going to get messier from here. Now, let's talk about some of the fan reactions to all of this, because people have a lot to say. One fan commented, "Tiffany's like a filibuster, she just talks on and fast and fast and fast, and everybody gets tired. And honestly, that's a pretty accurate description. Henyard has a way of dominating the conversation and wearing people down with her endless talking. It's almost like a strategy. If she talks long enough, maybe people will just give in. But the trustees? Yeah, they're not giving in." Another fan joked, as related to fast-track corruption as relates to prison. And while it's funny, it's also kind of sad, because there's a grain of truth in that statement. Henyard's spending habits have raised a lot of eyebrows, and with the FBI now involved, it's clear that this situation is serious. But here's the thing, Henyard doesn't seem to care. She's doubling down, pushing back against her critics, and continuing to assert her dominance. At one point during a public meeting, she even accused her opponents of attacking her because she's a black woman in power. She said, "You all should be ashamed of yourselves because you all are black. You all are black. And you all sitting up here beating and attacking a black woman that's in power." It was a bold statement, and one that left many people speechless.
So now I have to pay a special process server in order to get them served, which is more fees for me.
So the big question is, what's going to happen next? Will Henyard manage to hold on to power? Or will the mounting lawsuits, investigations, and opposition finally bring her down? And what about the residents of Dolton? Will they continue to support her? Or will they demand change in the next election? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, this story is far from over. Let us know in the comments what you think about all this. Do you think Henyard will get reelected? Or is it time for Dolton to find a new leader? Also, do you think her spending habits will catch up with her? Or will she manage to sidestep any real consequences? We want to hear your thoughts. See you next time.